Miss Daphne Bridgerton.
We are an unusual couple.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
We've got a modern take on France's favourite gentleman thief, a steamy Regency-era drama, and more from the Marvel superhero universe. In short, everything that's making headlines this month on the small screen. And Alison Sargent joins me to tell us more about that. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Olivia.
Now, we're starting with what's being tipped as the first great binge watch of 2021, Lupin on Netflix.
That's right. This is Lupin, as in Arsène Lupin, the gentleman thief and main character of a series of books by French writer Maurice Leblanc. These came out in France in the early 1900s. Now, in this series, Omar Sy plays, who's a very famous French actor, best known perhaps outside of France for his role in the film The Untouchables. Omar Sy plays a modern-day gentleman thief inspired by this character. The Arsène Lupin books essentially serve as his Bible, and they obviously served as a major inspiration to Omar Sy and to the rest of the team behind this show.
J'ai hérité d'un livre qui est bien plus qu'une histoire.
Arsène Lupin is a very famous French hero. You read Lupin at school like you would read Victor Hugo in France.
On voulait montrer le Paris, mais tel quel, c'est-à-dire aussi bien les monuments, mais aussi la banlieue. C'était important de montrer Paris dans son entièreté et on n'avait pas envie de faire la carte postale. Ça fait longtemps que j'ai pas joué de personnage comme ça. J'ai la vision de ce personnage qui est toujours en mouvement, toujours en avant, et que rien ne peut arrêter. Tout ça en étant gentleman cambrioleur, évidemment.
Now, Olivia, I think it's worth noting that our French TV critic did not like this show. She felt like it didn't live up to the iconic character, that it was too much of sort of a Hollywood action film.
But that could be because they're so attached to this Lupin character here in France.
I think that's exactly what it is, because for me, that was not a problem at all. I loved this show. I found it to be so much fun. Maybe it's a little bit cliche, but I was really taken along for the ride, and I have to say maybe I'm slow, but I was quite surprised by a lot of the twists and turns.
Yeah, it certainly looks like a lot of fun. Omar Sy is undeniably charming, but there is quite a lot more to it.
Well, I think what makes it so compelling is that this is really a revenge story. The lead character's real name is Assane Lupin, and through flashbacks we learn what drove him to model his life after Arsène Lupin. It's all centered around the death of his father, who was wrongly accused of a crime. So the show has really high emotional stakes, and we also see Assane's relationship with his own son and his efforts to really pass on that Lupin legacy.
And speaking of legacy, there's also the fact that Assane's own father is a Senegalese immigrant, but he himself got really quite a prestigious education.
Yeah, and I think it's this identity that allows him to sort of move between all of these different worlds and also go unnoticed at times. There was a really clever promotional clip released earlier this week in which Omar Sy himself is putting up posters for the show in the metro. A lot of people did not even give him a second glance.
Incredible.
And to be fair, he is wearing a mask, but it still ends up making a statement about race and class, but in a really playful way. This show, first and foremost, I think, is a lot of fun. There are only 5 episodes and it leaves on a cliffhanger. The good thing, though, is that the next 5 episodes have already been filmed and are expected to come out soon.
And I believe people are very impatient to see them. Now, if Lupin was our first binge watch of 2021, this show was perhaps our last binge watch of last year. Also from Netflix, the steamy Regency-era drama Bridgerton.
That's right. Another show that is a lot of fun. This show came out on Christmas Day, and Netflix is already saying that it's one of their most watched shows ever. Now, this show is from powerhouse producer Shonda Rhimes, the woman behind the hit shows Grey's Anatomy and Scandal. Her production company, Shondaland, signed a huge deal with Netflix in 2017. This is the first show to come out under that deal. Now, Bridgerton was created by one of her proteges, Chris Van Dusen. It's based on a series of romance novels, and it can really only be described as a cross between Pride and Prejudice and Gossip Girl. Take a look.
Stare into my eyes. If this is to work, you must appear madly in love.
The Duke truly has put your head in a spin.
Is it awful that I'm enjoying it?
Dear reader, if there isn't a scandal, I shall uncover it.
It is more than just your honor at stake.
You think that just because I'm a woman, I'm incapable of making my own choices?
There is nothing you cannot do. Bridgerton.
So it's definitely quite flirty. I can see why people think it's a little bit too racy.
Yeah, Olivia, I think that the sex scenes, make it kind of enticing. And then the main actor, Regé-Jean Page, is also very, very attractive, which helps. I will say that there are quite a few sex scenes, so you do have to be careful who you watch it with.
Okay, well, in more serious issues, in keeping with many Shonda Rhimes productions, the show does have a diverse cast, which that sets it apart from most period dramas.
Yeah, many critics found it refreshing that Bridgerton is almost complete escapism, including an escape from race. There's also the fact that that colorblind casting creates opportunities for actors of color that get shut out of projects like Downton Abbey, and it's also projects in which they're not stuck playing slaves or servants. There is one moment when race is addressed in Bridgerton. One of the show's black characters, Lady Danbury, explains that they used to be two separate societies divided by race until the king fell in love with a black woman and made her his queen. Now, the moral here is love conquers all.
Very romantic.
Very romantic. The creator, Chris Van Dusen, said he was inspired by the belief of some historians that Queen Charlotte, the wife of King George, was mixed race. But beyond this one moment, race really doesn't get explored in the show.
And that sort of half-baked way of tackling race did frustrate some critics, including one who you spoke to, Alison. Let's hear more from film critic Carolyn Hines.
If you're going to have a show that talks about feminism, that talks about the male patriarchy, if it's going to talk about power structures and social class, you have to also talk about race, because race ties into all of that. And they do mention slavery. So you can't have a situation where slavery still exists. The people who are living in this world are benefiting from slavery, those who are the ones in power, and the people who are being oppressed are Black people and other people of color, and not say that race doesn't matter. Then you also have Marina, who's found herself in a precarious position of being pregnant without a husband. These are stereotypes, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. These are specific stereotypes, like Simon's father. He's a terrible father. And how many times have you seen specifically dark-skinned Black men portrayed in negative lights on screen?
Now, despite her criticism, Carolyn Hines told me that she did really enjoy Bridgerton, and she will definitely be watching a second season if there is one, which seems quite likely.
Well, she wouldn't be the only one. That has been very popular. Now, in the meantime, while we await a second season, let's talk about some of the big shows we're looking forward to in 2021. It's looking to be a big year for reboots.
It is, Olivia, and the reboot that's getting the most buzz so far is a Gossip Girl reboot from HBO. It's supposed to feature a new cast with more queer and non-white characters. HBO also just announced this week that they're doing a remake of the famous show Sex and the City, although it probably won't come out until at least next year. It also will not include Samantha Jones, making it arguably not worth it.
Huge disappointment on social media about that, if not absolute outrage.
Yeah, huge disappointment. Now, the reboot I'm most curious about is a dramatic remake of a 90s sitcom, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's based on a short film made by a fan of the show, Morgan Cooper, that reimagines the comedy as a drama. Those are the images that you're seeing here. Now, Will Smith, the star of the original show, is one of the executive producers. Peacock TV has already ordered 2 full seasons. It is expected this year, although no exact date has been announced.
And as well as those TV reboots, there are some literary adaptations you're looking forward to.
For the literary adaptations I'm excited about, there's The Underground Railroad, based on Colson Whitehead's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel. It's an alternate history set in the slaveholding American South that reimagines the Underground Railroad as a literal railroad.
And that was a fantastic success as a book.
Yeah, and I read the book. I loved the book. Very excited about this series. It's being entirely directed by Barry Jenkins, who directed Moonlight. That will be coming out on Amazon Prime. Now, in other big Amazon Prime offerings is a much-anticipated adaptation of Lord of the Rings. But the epic show that I'm really looking forward to most, I think, this year is Foundation from Apple TV+. It's based on Isaac Asimov's series of sci-fi novels. It's about a mathematician whose models predict the fall of the Galactic Empire, and then he sets out to shorten the coming Dark Age.
No less. Well, in terms of specific streaming platforms, let's take a look at Disney+, because they're going to consolidate their huge successes last year with a big year for them this year.
That's right, a young streaming platform, best known perhaps for The Mandalorian, a Star Wars spin-off. They are set to release a whole host of shows set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The first of these actually comes out today. It is called WandaVision. It follows Avengers heroes Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, played by Elizabeth Olsen, and Vision, played by Paul Bettany. The couple is now living a seemingly idyllic suburban life, but slowly start to realize that things are not as they seem. Critics have described it as crazy, weird, clever, and mysterious. It really plays with genre. Each episode parodies parodies a classic sitcom like I Love Lucy or The Brady Bunch. Critics are really saying that it is unlike anything that Marvel has done before.
Oh, intriguing. I will check it out. Well, thank you very much, Alison, for that roundup this week. We'll wrap up the show with a look at the trailer for the strange and mysterious WandaVision. Do remember to check out our website, and we're also on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
Wanda, what's up?
Who are you?
I don't know.
I think something's wrong here.
Wanda, can you read me? Who's doing this to you?
Are you here to help us?
This is our home.
Then let's fight for it.